Hello, my dearest students. How are you today? I hope everything is wonderful today. Thank you for clicking this video, and here we are going to learn about an introductions to TOEFL material. Okay, my dearest students, before we start the lesson, I like to remind you, please don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe this channel. Okay, what we are going to study in this introductions material related to TOEFL. Alright, let's start the lesson. What do you think about TOEFL? It is not a secret anymore that most of us see TOEFL as something difficult to be handled. But yes, maybe some of us see TOEFL as a neutral or not really difficult. But most of us will say that TOEFL is difficult. Even some of you will say, I can't pass TOEFL. Or if it is related to pessimistic, maybe some of you will say, my TOEFL score will be low. Or if it is related to someone who is really optimistic, they will say that I will study all the English material and by that way I can handle TOEFL. Okay, but the question is, are those statements acceptable to the reality of TOEFL? Or what I mean here is TOEFL that difficult? Or is TOEFL true like what people think so far? Okay, so in this video we are going to discuss two things. The first is we are going to define about TOEFL. What is TOEFL? The definitions of it. And then the second, we are going to discuss what are the material included in the TOEFL. Okay, let's start from the first material. We start from TOEFL definitions. Right, if we talk about TOEFL definitions, actually TOEFL is an abbreviations. TOEFL is an abbreviation for several words. Let's say T for test, O for off, E for English, F for foreign, and L for language. So TOEFL is an abbreviation for test of English as foreign language. My dear students, let me guide you to focus to one word here. The word is foreign. You know, foreign in Bahasa, we define it as asing. Or if we try to define it again in English, foreign means unfamiliar. Unfamiliar, something that we don't close to it. And if it is related to language, foreign means that you don't use the language as the tools of your daily communications. That's what we call it, foreign language here. Okay, if we talk about foreign, let's see the historical records about TOEFL. Some facts about TOEFL. The first historical record says that TOEFL firstly administered on 1964. And why it is administered? It is administered to standardize English competence for the non-English speaker students in the USA. At the time, there are so many students all over the world visit USA to study there, and then they bring their own dialects related to English, and then they bring the various competence to English. So at that time, TOEFL administered to standardize the English competence for the non-English speaker students. Okay, if we try to relate it again to the word of foreign that we have discussed previously, what we can conclude here is, since the beginning, TOEFL is designed and created for you who don't use English or for you who don't speak English. So, since the beginning, TOEFL is created for someone who don't know English a lot. This is a reality. So, what is the other meaning of this statement is, TOEFL is not difficult actually, because it is designed and created for people who don't use English, who has English as their foreign language. That's why TOEFL is very impossible to be difficult, because it's just a measurement, it's just a tool to see the acceptable of your English ability as a foreign language in you. If I can say in Bahasa, karena itu TOEFL sebenarnya tidaklah sulit. Karena apa? Karena dari kata foreign dan dari catatan sejarah mengatakan bahwa TOEFL didesain untuk kita yang menggunakan bahasa Inggris sebagai bahasa asing, atau yang bahasa Inggris adalah bahasa asing dalam hidupnya, yang tidak menggunakan bahasa Inggris dalam percakapan sehari-hari. Oleh karena itu, seharusnya TOEFL memang didesain dan dirancang untuk tidak sulit bagi peserta tesnya. Oke. Then it is also said that if you don't speak English, if you don't know much about English, you are the correct candidate of TOEFL. This is a truth. Then, let me introduce you a little about the types of TOEFL test. There are two ways of TOEFL classifications here. The first, I classified it based on the method or based on the manner. And then the second, I will classify it based on the procedure. Okay, we start from the first classification based on the manner or based on the method. Based on the manner, TOEFL can be classified into two. The first is paper-based test. If it is paper-based test, it means that you read the questions on a paper and then you give your answers on a paper. So when you enter a room and then you join the test, there is questions in a paper form and then there is answer sheet in a paper form, and then they ask you to give your answers on the paper. The second is computer-based test or CBT. Computer-based test means you do the test on the computer. You read the questions on the computer and then you give your answers by clicking options on the computer. How about the second classifications? Based on the procedure, the first is internet-based test. Internet-based test means that you do the test by the helping of internet instrument. Usually it is directly conducted by the ETS, and then you visit a representative building, you do the test on the computer, and then by the helping of the internet, you answer the questions by clicking the options in the computer. This is internet-based test. The second is institutional testing program. So this is the focus of our TOEFL material, because the most favored TOEFL test by many people now is the ITP TOEFL. ITP TOEFL is a TOEFL test that administered by a trusted representative institution in one area. So any institution can propose itself to be the trusted representative institutions handling or held the TOEFL test. If you want to know in your area whether there is an ITP TOEFL test or not, you can browse it from the Google. Usually it is explained there. Okay, so the first questions, what is TOEFL? TOEFL is a test, okay? A test to see your ability in English, but English as your foreign language. So TOEFL actually is not difficult. You have to be positively thinking that you can handle it, because when you don't speak in English as your daily communication, it means that you are the correct candidate to have the TOEFL, and then you can handle it. And then here we also have defined the types of TOEFL tests. You can learn it further later. Now we go to the second questions. The second questions is, what are included in TOEFL? I mean, what are the material that questions or covered in the TOEFL test? And because I've already explained it to you that we are focused to the ITP TOEFL, and then here I will explain you the material covered in ITP TOEFL. Okay, here we see that ITP TOEFL consists of two levels, level 1 and level 2. And then if you see further, if you see closer, both of the level actually just the same. Why do I say they are just the same? Because if it is in level 1, the questions 140, level 2, the questions is 95, but please pay attention to the durations. Level 1 with 140 questions, the duration provided is 2 hours. And level 2 with 95 questions, the duration provided is 70 minutes. So it's just the same. The time is longer, the duration is also longer. The questions is, what I mean here is the questions is more, the time or the duration is also longer. And then when the questions is is not a lot, the duration is also shorter. So it's just the same for me. And if we see both for the level 1 and level 2, the material covered are listening, structure and written expressions, and reading comprehension. So we just covered 3 materials: listening comprehension, structure and written expressions, and reading comprehensions. So for the next videos, we are going to discuss these 3 materials. We are not going to discuss the theoretical material, but we are going to discuss how to handle the questions. I mean, how to answer the questions. If I can say why TOEFL become difficult is not because of it is difficult, but when it is compared to the time provided. So for example, like listening, for 50 questions, it is just provided 35 minutes as the durations. And do you know 35 minutes here is not only for thinking the answers, it is including to circling the questions and make the options black by the computer pencils. So if it is 50 questions for 35 minutes, it means that one question is not more than 30 seconds. It is included circling and fill out the options with your computer pencils. So the difficulties is not on the material, but on the method of answering the questions management, I guess. So how do we can handle the TOEFL is by practicing. Okay, now in the end of this video, let's have the conclusions. The first, TOEFL is a test of English as a foreign language. That's the definitions. As a foreign language, TOEFL is designed and created for a non-English speaker. TOEFL ITP are covered listening, structure, written expression, and reading as its component. And this is the suggestion and tips for you to reduce the difficulties level. Is the best strategy to handle TOEFL is by practicing regularly. Okay, my dear students, so this is an introductions videos for the TOEFL material. I hope you can got the 2 points. The first is the definitions of TOEFL, and the second is what are included in the TOEFL as its testing material. Okay, I think that's all for this video. Thank you for joining me in this video, and please, my students, don't forget to like, share, comments, and subscribe this video. Okay, I think that's all for today for this video. Thank you, and see you at the next video, and bye bye.